Welcome to the Rotary Club of Bearden. We'd like to welcome all visiting Rotarians and guests. I'm going to ask that you silence your phones. John Hines, will you lead us in the pledge?
I will. Flag's right over here, guys. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Janice, you want to do the song?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. Today is Mozart's birthday, and so we're going to sing a Mozart motet. And I just told you a lie. So, but tomorrow is a very special day, National Kazoo Day. So you have all been given a kazoo. And I will have to tell you, you need to get your kazoo out, because we are going to kazoo My Country 'Tis of Thee. Okay. And what you do is, you hum. You do not sing, you hum. And you're going to hum in that little, did you get one? And you're going to hum, did everybody get one? And you're going to hum into this little hole here. So everybody give it a test hum. Oh, good, but that's not going to be the pitch. So, no, you have to take the plastic off. If you don't take the plastic off. Okay, here we go. This is your pitch. Give a good hum. Good. Here we go. Ready? Now I've got a different one, so here we go. Ready? Okay, ready? Ready, ready? And you may take those kazoos home with you because they have your COVID germs on them.
Now, Janice, I had you for the invocation. That's why I did this order. Let's throw you on.
Okay, so I also have the invocation, which is really difficult to do after kazooing, but here we go. If you would please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, may we intentionally place service above self in all our daily pursuits. Help us to remember as we walk together in this club that whatever we might say, only be the truth. Whatever steps we take together, let them build goodwill and better friendships among us. Whatever goals we strive to accomplish through this club, let them be beneficial to all concerned. And help us never to lose sight of your many blessings for good food, fellowship, and the opportunity to serve others through Rotary. For all of this and a few doses of good luck and grace, we give you our thanks. Amen. Amen. You may be seated.
Jim Christensen, can you do our guest and visitor?
Afternoon, everyone. Today we have 3 guests, and Bruce Van Cleve, would you introduce your guest for?
This is Ron Arelson, a good friend of mine, and most recently started as regional sales manager for Purina Food. So let's welcome Ron.
Mark, I have with me today Mark Brock. This is his first visit to our Rotary Club, so please welcome him. Mark is started a new business about a year ago called The Crusher, and they go around with a big truck, and it has a barrel on the end, and it goes to construction sites or anybody that has a roll-off container, and it compacts that material so you don't have to pull it, haul it as much. It saves businesses money. He's been doing that for a year. Yep. And also Mark played center for the University of Kentucky football team. Yeah, so we've been over here catching up. But he's interested today about listening to NIL. So make him feel welcome today, please. Thank you.
You have, yes.
This is Chris Outland. He is the king of O.R.N.L. Mortgage. He is the best boss I've ever had in my long career, so glad to have him. This is his second time here. The first time when I was inducted as president, Chris was here to support me in that, so glad to have him back. So thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Ron.
Steve, that was a long time ago. Janice, Mobile Mill?
Let Bruce talk about Mobile Meals because he delivered today. So, Lorna, he's right behind you.
We delivered 12 meals today. Everybody seems to be doing fine. Rosa did want us to pass on her love to the club and everything that we do with Mobile Meals. So everyone's pretty thankful for us going out today and doing that.
Thanks, Bruce. You don't get off that easy. Readers?
Right. You don't have to have any special musical talents to read the Pine Gap today. Just be able to follow the alphabet. So we have Jim Katsianis, Jim Christensen, and Sam Carey reading today. So we have openings for the month of February. So just let me know if you can read on one of those Fridays.
All right. Thanks, Bruce. Wait, you don't get off that easy. Got you one more.
Casino?
Casino night.
Casino night. What night's casino night?
Woo-hoo! April 15th.
April 15th is casino night, and the reason we hold casino night is to allow us to do what we can do in the community. So the $25,000 plus that we make in contributions to local organizations, to scholarship programs, to exchange students, those kind of things, the funds come from this event. So on your table, there are commitment forms, or participation forms might be a better term, but we would like all of our club members to bring other folks to that night. Tables are $2,000 a table, half tables $1,000, and tickets are $200 an individual. And there's also some sponsorships available too as well. We're also looking for folks to come up with some great auction items that always add to the night too as well. So if you know people in the community that can give some, donate some great auction items, trips, destinations always seem to be a popular thing with folks, but there's also some other special off the wall kind of things, airline flights at the local airport, those kinds of things. So we'd like to try to have everybody's commitments during the middle of February so we can be ready to roll on April the 15th. So give myself a call or anybody on the board and we can help answer questions about that night. So information's on your table, take it home and share it and let me know how you'd like to participate.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.
People didn't catch that. The casino night is April 15th. People get confused, hard to remember. That's tax day. So remember it. And the good news is once they heard that we were doing casino night on April 15th, they decided to give you 3 more days to file your taxes. So you got to April 18th. We have an interesting speaker today, and I'll talk about it. But one thing, I was talking to David Loon, and I said, this is great for me. I've been trying to figure out how I could make some money on name, image, and likeness. And I said, I figured he got the speaker just to help me out. And then he said, he gave me, he said there wasn't a Chinaman's chance and you know where that an accountant was going to make any money on NIL. And I said, David, that's just hurtful. David, can you introduce our speaker?
That's a good intro for me. I'm pleased today to have Kat Jones with us from the University of Tennessee. She joined the University of Tennessee athletic staff in September 2021 in the newly created position of Director of Name, Image, and Likeness. Her position was introduced to manage name, image, and likeness, NIL, education, monitoring, and support efforts for Tennessee's 20 varsity sport program and more than 500 student athletes. A native of Pensacola, Florida, she manages NIL inquiries from internal and external stakeholders and coordinates programming resources that pair current UT athletes with campus and alumni networks and support. Before transitioning to Tennessee, she spent more than 2 years as an assistant director of compliance at University of Central Florida. She earned her bachelor's degree in business administration and marketing from Central Florida. She completed her Juris Doctorate degree, fellow lawyer, from Mississippi School of Law in 2019. Please join me in welcoming Kat Jones.
Thank y'all. If you don't mind, I'm just gonna have a phone up here for make sure I cover everything with you guys, just don't miss anything. So thank you. Really excited to be here. I'm gonna give a brief kind of intro into NIL. I say how we got here, what we're doing at the University of Tennessee, some things we've seen. We're at almost 2 years, and we have seen a lot. It's moving very quickly, but then I definitely want to leave some time for questions. So if y'all need to give me a wave when I've talked too much. If not, I will go for a very, very long time. It's the lawyer in me. So first off, y'all don't know, there used to be a rule up until July 1st of 2021 set by the NCAA that said our collegiate student athletes could not use what they called their name, their image, or their likeness to basically be compensated. And so that's where we get this term NIL. It's not a new thing though, right? Think every single athlete, think actors, actresses. It's really just the right to publicity that we all have. But we call it NIL in the collegiate space. So kind of how we got there was this big push for that to no longer be a rule. There were some cases that go down, both at the Supreme Court level and some different levels. I don't know if y'all remember back in the day, Ed O'Bannon. He was a basketball player. And he kind of sued for this right a long time ago, kind of won it, but we didn't change all the rules. The NCAA kind of dragged their feet until we got hit with a case at the Supreme Court level that basically said, hey, NCAA, it might be time to modernize some of the things you're doing. So that was happening the summer of 21. At the same time, states were getting involved. So first California, and they passed a law, which then led to, we were up to 38 states with laws that basically said, hey, NCAA, you can't stop our student athletes from making money off of their name, image, and likeness. And the thought process behind it wasn't just, hey, we'd like our athletes to make money. It really was, we'd like them to be equal to the regular student at a university, right? There's nothing that restricts a really great marketing major who has a whole platform from going out there and endorsing a product. So that was kind of where this came to be. And so all the state push really got us there. So July 1st of 2021, we turned the switch on. And I'll be honest with you guys, we turned the switch on with about 3 bullet points. That is what we had to follow. So we had a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. And we do have some answers now. I can't say we have all of the answers. I would be a lot better at my job if I had all of the answers, but we're getting there. So from the NCAA, we had 3 rules that we have to follow. So this is going to be across the country, every single NCAA athlete. They had to actually perform some type of work or service. So early on, you still hear it, the narrative is we're just paying them, right? We're just handing them money. That's not the case. For this to actually be following the rules, they have to do something, whether that's endorse a product, sign an autograph, create a t-shirt. They can do all kinds of different work, and we've seen lots of different work. So this is definitely not a one-size-fits-all. So that was the first one. The second one is that this could not be what we call pay for play. So that's a huge term that's getting thrown around everywhere. The thought process behind that is they are not paid for what they're doing on the field. We still wanted to maintain their amateurism status, right? They're not professionals. They do not have a salary yet. They are not professionals yet, right? There's still these talks, but the whole idea was that we are not paying them for what they do on the field, the court, the pool, the track, whatever that may be. So how we've actually seen that in the reality is, I'll use local ones, I think that's our best. Alante Taylor and then Cedric Tillman did the Moonshine Mountain Cookies, right? So whenever with Cedric, it was I think 2 touchdowns and then you got a free cookie. So yes, that was his performance, but we got the benefit. Cedric was paid the same whether he played or didn't play. So as we know, he spent a lot of the season hurt. He was paid the same. So that was kind of the piece of it's not tied to his performance. Well, we got the benefit of his performance. But that was a great example of NIL at use in a really, really good way. And then the third prong is probably the one that gets the most controversial and the most talked about, was that NIL cannot be used as a recruiting inducement. That's the space where it gets very, very interesting. I see the giggles and the laughs. That's where I'll be honest, everyone's still trying to sort this out. But in the truest form, it cannot be used as a recruiting inducement. So what I'll say to that is it's going to matter what's in contracts that these student athletes are signing. So those were our 3 big prompts from the NCAA. Then we got down to the state level. So we have now these states with laws. So we do have a state law here in the state of Tennessee. And it mirrors, it doesn't really, it doesn't, I say, conflict the NCAA. The biggest thing that we really have to consider with our state law is prohibited categories. So that puts in that our student athletes cannot promote alcohol, tobacco, adult entertainment, or gambling. That's something that we actually feel pretty safe with as the university. Those are things that, you know, we're okay with our student athletes not being out there promoting. And we really haven't had a lot of difficulties with that area. So those are the 2 things that are at play when we say the rules. So we kind of turned all of it on and we said, okay, what are we going to do? And one of my favorite things, the reason I'm at the University of Tennessee, I came after NIL had turned on, was they took a very proactive approach to this. I watched a lot of universities kind of sit back on their heels and say, oh, we'll let it play out. And, you know, student athletes were asking questions, they needed guidance, and they kind of took their hands off because everyone was scared of what could be done and what couldn't. The University of Tennessee didn't. And so what they did, they implemented, the first time we taught it was fall of 2021, which was an Intro to NIL course. So this is an undergraduate class. You get 3 credits. It's housed in the Haslam College of Business and the Anderson Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And it is a, you know, A through Z course on NIL. Everything from, you know, who you are, who's your brand, what are your values, to how do you align with a different brand, how do you find deals, what do you do when you've got a deal, contracts. One of the reasons I have a job and keep a job is because we have 19-year-olds who are handed legal contracts. And we don't expect them to know how to read it because they don't have those, you know, they're 19. They haven't gone through law school. They haven't gone through those pieces. So we want to teach them what to be looking for and give them those resources. We then get into if they want to start an LLC, right? We want them to build this bigger than, you know, a tweet or a one-time deal. And then we get into one of my personal favorite days, which is, I call it tax day. It's where we teach them that they've now made income and you are going to be taxed. And y'all would love it. It is a kind of a deer in a headlights day because they really do lock in. But we show them, hey, you just did this awesome deal. And what we always use is, because we've seen them, car leases, right? They do a deal and they get to use a car for a year. So that's a car lease, but you're taxed on what that lease would have cost. And so we put it up there, and we have a really fantastic professor, Lynn Youngs, who does it. And he doesn't use the Dodge Charger that they want to be driving or the BMW or the Mercedes. We use like a Toyota Corolla. Not that there's anything wrong with a Toyota Corolla, but some of these 19-year-olds want to be driving the BMW. But we show them what that's going to cost them in taxes. And we show them what the 1099 looks like and what it really is. And we also then survey them at the end of the semester as the #1 day for them. Because that is the day that I think a lot of them realize, whoa, okay, I gotta think about this and I've got to do it the right way. And some of them have actually now turned down car deals because they said, whoa, I'm not paying taxes on that. I need cash deals, right? So we've actually kind of got them thinking in the right way. But it is income, and they are taxed. And I always do tell them I can help with the NCAA. I can help a little bit with the state of Tennessee. I can't help you with the IRS, right? I cannot get you out of trouble with the IRS. And then we tell them that the IRS does not care who they are. So that's the big piece. And then we even go into how to take good photos, how to take good videos. A lot of this is living in the social media space. But here in Knoxville, a lot isn't as well. We're very lucky. I was just sharing that my life is a lot easier because of this Knoxville community. We aren't out here begging people to get involved. We are having people come to us wanting to get involved just because this place loves the University of Tennessee so much and loves our athletic teams. It also is helping me out that right now most of our athletic teams are kind of, they're firing on all cylinders. So that makes my job a little bit easier as well. So that's been a huge piece of this. So that was our big thing, was if we're going to turn on NIL, we're not just going to throw the kids to the wolves and say, good luck, and then watch them screw it up. That was not what we wanted to happen. We took a very proactive approach in educating them. So we have the class, which is a great way. We hit everything. And then we have additional resources, right? Because I have students that we don't get to hit every single student in that class. We get to hit most of our student athletes. But then we have additional resources. How can we help them? Taxes, finances, even just budgeting this money, right? If you're a kid who's never had this kind of money, even if it is, you know, we're not talking every kid's making a lot, but even if it is a couple $100 a month, how do you budget that money so that you can, you know, spend it over time and save it? We talk about, you know, starting a savings account, how this, if it is large amounts of money, how can we build this wealth? All of those pieces. And then we talk about the contracts. We even talk about, hey, how do they walk up to a person and shake their hand and have that conversation? Because some of them haven't had it before, right? We talk about finding that decision maker and really presenting yourself well to the community. And it's gone really well in what I'd say in our first 18 months. They've done a great job in this community. They've done a great job at these meet and greets. They've done a great job with the youth. That's been a huge market. We first saw t-shirts come out, and they were all in adult sizes. And I called someone and said, someone make these shirts in youth sizes, guys. Because as much as we love them, I was like, it's the kids, right? It's the kids you're seeing in Hendon Hooker jerseys or Tillman jerseys or, you know, Zakai Ziegler jerseys. That's the one. That's the market. And then from there, they've learned camps, clinics, lessons, different ways you can really get involved. So that was kind of our thing. If we're going to turn this on, let's please educate them. And I think we can confidently say we've done one of the better jobs in the country of educating our student athletes here at the University of Tennessee to be prepared for this. So, well, once we got them educated, then we said, okay, you guys got to go out there and actually do this. So I'd love to talk a little bit about what we've seen in the first 18 months. And I've kind of already hit on it, but we've seen everything, like I said, from social media to meet and greets downtown, meet and greets at restaurants. One of our baseball players has a mattress named after him that he helped create the specs to this mattress. And we've seen everything from the national scale too. We've got some things with AT&T, Allstate, Pepsi, Adidas, Reebok, all of those pieces. So it's really cool because we're not just seeing, it's not just your local, you know, we love our local mom and pops, but we're seeing our student athletes have success on all levels. They have gear on Fanatics, so that works very much like the pros. They get a royalty rate. They all kind of signed the same royalty rate agreement, and now you can go buy their gear on Fanatics. And we actually were able to say we were in the top 3 universities for Fanatics sales as well on their jerseys. So it's been a very successful kind of launch, but that doesn't mean we're not still dealing with the difficulties. Lots of things they've now had to learn. Intellectual property. I don't think our student athletes thought that they were going to get many lessons in intellectual property, but they do. Because we have to protect our UT logo. I'm going to use you since you wore it for me today, right? We pay a lot of money to protect that T, and we companies pay a lot of money to use that T. So the same way we have to teach our student athletes about that piece, right? They don't come with the T. And the same flip. The T doesn't come with our student athletes. So we're teaching them about those concepts, about protecting their own intellectual property as well. I've had helped student athletes write cease and desist letters when people use their intellectual property when they make shirts off their NIL without their permission. So it's a lot of pieces in it, but I do think we're well equipped with the tools to kind of continue to push this forward. I'm just going to make sure I'm hitting all my things I'd like to hit with you guys about. And so we have all these things, we have these great teams. Our huge piece was how do we get them out in the community? And it is events like this, so thank y'all for inviting me. It's educating you guys as well, educating our community. We've done a huge push, and it's pushing out our student athletes into this community as well. If you see, they're already on our billboards. They don't get paid for that. They get looped in, but making sure our community is aware. If you are at, you know, the Lady Vol basketball game last night, great crowd. Not exactly our outcome we'd like, but a great crowd. But we've got ways to engage with them. We've got these, you know, QR codes is when you want to work with a student athlete, there's a way to connect with that student athlete. Our successes. So want to hit on last, probably our industry trends. So this industry is not going away, whether or not people like it or don't like it. We've had both, but it's not going away anytime soon. So I think where we see this going, more group deals, more team deals. We have seen lots of those, both individual and team. I think those are great ways when you have the whole team out there doing a community event versus one person. Lots of group licensing deals. We hit a little bit into our crypto NFT world. For y'all that aren't aware, the non-fungible token, that one hit a little bit, but we're actually starting to see that go away. As I talk to them, the 20-year-olds, they're all like, no, we don't do NFTs anymore. And I was like, okay. I just found that interesting. But My favorite thing about this is it can be anything we want it to be. Really, we can make a lot fit onto the scale of NIL. So the community involvement, the opportunities are truly endless. And last, I will hit on what else we've seen from how to get involved with NIL. So the easiest way is if you do have a business. I'm going to use you because they told me you had a business, right? If you want to use a student athlete, super easy way, right, to get involved. You reach out, you connect with a student athlete, and you create, let's say, an endorsement deal. But let's say you don't have a business, or you don't have a business that you ever really think, hey, that's going to work with a student athlete. It's not going to do me any good. There are other great ways to get involved with our student athletes and really support our student athletes. Like I said, buying their merch. But also I'm going to talk about these groups because I assume you all have heard of them, collectives. It was a term we never heard before NIL, and now I've heard it so many times, and we started using it all over the place. They are a great thing, though. Think really like the old school booster clubs or crowdfunding, right? Basically, it's groups of supporters who have gotten together to form groups that their sole purpose is creating and supporting our student athletes and NIL opportunities. So just to name a few here locally, if you have interest in getting involved, I'm always happy to give more information. So we have a group called Volunteer Club. It is started by a group called Spire Sports. So they are sports agents. They created Spire Sports Agency and then have an arm of that called Volunteer Club. It is our UT NIL agency, or collective, sorry, I use all my words, an NIL collective created to create opportunities for our student athletes, whether that be local. They did a great work with Hendon Hooker and AT&T, and he got up there and kind of talked about his story. They do a lot of tailgate events. They're going to have one tomorrow before the Texas game. Just getting that local community involved, and then they have the student athletes come to those events, and you can engage with the student athletes, get to know them one-on-one, get to really understand who they are past just, Zakai on the court. Zakai on the court is fantastic, but also Zakai in real life is really, really, really a great kid to know as well. So it's creating those really cool opportunities, and they are being compensated for those events, and that's kind of how we create this full circle moment. And so I'd say the pushback we hear of, hey, they're on scholarship. Yes, some of them are on a full ride scholarship, but as we chat about, our baseball team isn't. Most of those are on 5, 10, 20%, right? So while, yes, we're putting money into our student athletes' pockets, we're also seeing them use that money for good. We're seeing them pay down their student debt, right? We're creating a next generation that might be able to get out without their student debt. We're also seeing them use their NIL for good. I'll always say that no one gave our student athletes enough credit that they turned around and took their opportunities and then put it back into the community. If y'all remember John Fulkerson, our favorite, 9-year basketball player, we joke. We can still keep him. He's over in Belgium, if anyone wanted to know, still playing, doing a great job. But he was kind of our first one. He actually turned around and gave some of his NIL money back to university and really spoke about how much this local community affected him. We've seen some turn around and give back to their hometown, the places that raised them. So we've seen a lot of great work in this space as well. On the flip side, so we got Volunteer Club. Also would love to mention we have a group called the Lady Vol Booster Club. So if any of you are back in my Pat Summit days, they used to have the Boost Her Club, which was when we had 2 split athletic departments. That was kind of a different way to support the women's athletic department. So we've kind of revamped that. Now it's the Lady Vol Booster Club, which is an NIL collective formed to support our women's student athletes. It's a fantastic group. And they work a lot, too, with Orange Mountain Designs. If you haven't been, we now have an Orange Mountain Designs. It's over by the Westtown Mall, by that Tomato Head. It is a store that only has the Lady Vol logo. It is very, very cool, very, very unique, something that we don't think works at any other university. If you haven't been, definitely stop by. But I think all of that speaks, and the fact that we can carry a full women's collective for NIL speaks to not just our great, football, basketball, baseball team, but our women's athletics as well. We have a fantastic Lady Vol brand here, and it is unlike anything I've ever seen in the country. If you would have told me at any other university that you could have a full, women's athletics store, I would have said that's not going to work, unfortunately. But it does here. So I think it just speaks to this wonderful Knoxville community. So on that, I kind of gave you the glimpse of NIL. I will be quiet and really get to y'all's questions. So I'll start over here.
I kind of got 2 questions.
Of course.
First of all, I was worried when this first started out. I was worried about how the athletes at that young age was going to be able to handle the money. And I feel better hearing what you're saying about going through some of the training. With that being said, it would have been nice if they could have done something like that in past years, because they're still, when they get ready to graduate and go on to the pros, to get that kind of money, it's, there's a lot of temptation out there.
Yeah. I'll hold on. I feel your same thing. We are all nervous, but one of the great things we saw, you always hear the horror stories, right? They go get their first pro contract and then they're broke a year later, right? What we're learning is through these education is they almost get a taste of it. Obviously not the pro contract level, but they're getting this little taste, and it's almost like we're learning to not make that mistake, and we've seen that. So that's been a huge plus.
It'd been nice if they had done it in years past. It would have really probably saved some people
some
grief.
No.
On the last one, it's kind of like a fun thing. Let's see if you had any comments. You said that the third, I guess, law that you guys. What do you think about the Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher back and forth on that?
Can you repeat that question?
Yes, I can. So for y'all to not see, Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher exchanged words between multiple press conferences about how the other was treating NIL. That's a great question. I think this would hit on my piece. My advice, do not believe a lot of what is put out in the world about NIL. There was a recent AD, and he straight up said, half of it's lies. Half of these numbers, some of the ridiculous numbers where you may hear them and say, hey, that's almost too good to be true and that sounds crazy. I would warn that may mean it's too good to be true. I think, is this speaking exactly to, this is in the recruiting space, whether we wanted it to be or not. I will talk about, I can't speak, I guess, to Saban and Jimbo, but I will talk to what we do. We don't shy away from it in the recruiting space. We actually put it on the table, but we put it on the table in the right way. Of, hey, if you come here, this is how we can help you with this. This is our resources we can show you. This is how successful it's already been. And then I'll be honest, like I said, it makes my job easier. We brag about this community. We show them the events where we've had, we have 250 people at the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame just for an NIL event, right? We kind of show them the success. And so instead of breaking the rule and making the promise, we're going to say, hey, look what could happen if you're here and you buy into University of Tennessee. It will also support you back. So I definitely, because I've talked to people and they say, well, we don't even mention it in recruiting. And I'm like, that's not the right way to go either, right? Because everyone knows it's here. But we want to show you how we can help you. And it helps with parents. I've been in lots of rooms with parents where I explain them all of our resources and they're like, they're excited. The kid might not really fully get it yet because he's 17 or 18. But the parents are getting that we've got to educate them on it.
I've got two questions. Does the NIL deal start when the student enrolls in school? And does like Spire Sports, do they go out and search for companies that try to get, that will do deals with students? And do they get a percentage of the deal?
So I'll work them back. I'll repeat. So Spire Sports, do they go out and look for deals, and do they get a percentage? So yes to both. I'll kind of explain. So they've got two different prongs. They do definitely approach our local communities and say, hey, would you like to get involved in different ways? So they're out there looking for deals because they've got to continue to fund both through donors and what I would say I'll call corporate sponsors, but through businesses. And they're very honest, like most collectives. They do have, I think, an 8 to 10% that they say in operating costs. Okay. Because they do have staff working, and they do have people out there creating these events. But the rest, they really do focus of how can we limit that down so that most of the money is going to the student athletes. But they are honest about that. It's on their website. To your first question, a great question that do NIL deals start at enrollment or do they start before, after? What does that work? So this has been a very, very interesting piece. I'm glad you brought it up because I did not hit on it. High school student athletes in NIL. A sentence that a year ago we did not really even think about touch. It is different state to state. So in December, if I get this right, the THSAA? I was close. Sorry. I didn't have my PowerPoint. But basically the Tennessee High School Association, right? They did change their rules. So most high school associations had rules that kind of mirrored of like, hey, we're not doing things like that. But as NIL turned on and revved up at the college level, we've seen a good handful, I want to say I'm up to 18, 19, 20 states where some type of high school association has changed their regulations. And really made common sense ones that I think we would agree with, which is, hey, If you do have a market value and you happen to also be a high school student athlete, you can capitalize on that market value. Now, if I remember correctly, in the state of Tennessee, there are restrictions such as you can't use your school's logo, you can't do different things, right, to protect the high school as well. So here in the state of Tennessee, we could have a student athlete, if they played their sport in Tennessee, start NIL deals at the high school level, maybe promoting their local, let's say where they work out, where they train, or a local, maybe where they get their hair done, where they get their shoes, where they get their clothes. They could promote it. And then that deal, what I say is, if that deal continues on through the day you become a student at the University of Tennessee, that's when you get to disclose it to me. If it happens completely prior, then that's kind of your business, but once it occurs while you are still a student athlete at the University of Tennessee, you are required to disclose it to us. And that is a state law. I always tell the student athletes, it's not because I want to know your business. I don't want to, unless I only want to know what I need to know. But it is in our Tennessee state law that our student athletes do have to disclose their deals to us.
Well, like Nico, he's got a deal. I mean, when does this, or do you know when it starts? Does it start when he enrolls in school or prior to that?
So, and Nico's a great example. If he was in California, where due to different things with child actors, child singers, that was actually always allowed in California, previous to a lot of these things. So there is a chance that deal could have started while he was in California and then carried over.
You can still bring it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're lots of state laws, lots of associations we are trying to morph together here.
So are all NIL deals individual deals? And I guess they probably involve the most higher profile players. This is the reason I ask. I remember when I was younger, much younger, I would be playing a video game. And of course there's no name on there or anything like that. But if you're playing with Florida State during Deion Sanders' time, there was no name, but still the cornerback was like the fastest guy on the field, so you knew it was Deion. Are there any kind of group deals that are made to where, like the video game now has every member of the roster on there, and even the lesser known, 52nd guy on the roster, is he still receiving a small piece of that, like a deal that was made as a group?
So I'm repeating it for the thing. Just to repeat his question, can we have individual and group deals? And for example, the video game, what would that look like and how's that happen? I have great news. The EA Sports video game is actually coming back for this exact reason. Okay. And yes, we have individual and group deals. So I'm gonna use the EA Sports because it's the easiest example. There will be one group licensing agreement. And if the student athlete wants to be included with the rest of his team, each one of them will opt into that group licensing agreement. It will have the same terms. So we already got a glimpse of this with the Fanatics deal. So if you get on Fanatics right now, you can go buy a jersey with most of our football players' names or numbers on it. They opted into that, so they have the right to not be included if they don't want to be, but they also all opted in. They all had the same GLA. So everyone from Hendon Hooker to my walk-on who never played, they had the same royalty rates and the same exact agreement. We believe that's exactly how the EA Sports will work as well. They will opt in, and you will I think they pushed it, but hopefully by 2024, you will be able to play with the actual University of Tennessee team with the correct players, with their numbers and their metrics. So we see both. Long answer to say we also see both. We see individual, we see group. I've seen the whole team, and then I've seen 3 of them, right? We've seen a combo, but those think very much like the same kind of royalty agreements you see MLB, NBA. Though it's the same group actually. It's a group called One Team that's working these. So it's very much like that. But we are getting EA Sports back. I think they've got to figure out how you deal with 135 D1 teams where they all, with the transfer portal, we trade players so much that now we've got to figure out roster logistics on this video game. But yeah.
Thank you.
Question on a player if he has an NIL deal, can he offer NIL deals to the players on the team?
So to repeat his question, if a player has an NIL deal, can he offer NIL deals to his teammates?
Yes.
Maybe through his? Yes, that's where we kind of say, hey, this is where you're free reign. Perfect example, I think we saw it, Jalen Hyatt, right? He did a great deal. He did a fantastic deal with Hyatt Hotels, nice natural connection. And part of his deal was that he got a certain number of room credits. He then turned around and said, okay, I want to help my teammates' parents out when they went to the bowl game. And that's what he did. He turned around with those room credits and actually then gave them to his teammates for their parents. And we've seen that at a few different schools, Beats, everyone got the suits, different things like that. And on the flip side, I'm going to use another one of our players as an example, Grant Firkin. I don't know if y'all know Grant Firkin. He was a walk-on. He was pretty good wide receiver, if I'm going to get all this right. But he actually had a business he'd had since he was about 15 or 16. It was a landscaping mulch business. When NIL turned on, he used some of his teammates to advertise his own business. So it definitely, there's not a restriction, I guess, on where that goes. Did you have another one? Yeah.
Say you have hypothetically a highly compensated NIL quarterback, he could offer to his offensive lineman a portion of his NIL contract.
So if you have a highly compensated QB and you've got an O-line that he'd like to keep happy, yes, I think some would say it might be smart as well to maybe get his O-line involved, you know, in that deal. Do we have another? I'll work this way.
The class that they take, okay, do they get credit hours for that, and can a non-athlete take the class?
So our Intro to NIL course, do they get credit hours and can a non-athlete take the class? Yes, it is a credited class, and it's housed as both a college, as a regular elective and a business elective. And we do have non-student athletes in the class. We kind of see two different things. We see people who maybe aren't athletes, like myself. I never was an athlete, but I have a career in this, right? And they want a career in this. Or we've even dealt with some musicians, some people with market value that maybe isn't collegiate athletics, but they know they've got something, social media influencers, and they want to learn the same skills. So we love our non-student athletes in the room as well.
Who advocates for these student athletes when they're negotiating a contract? Is the school involved in telling them this is a good deal or not, or before they sign their name off? And are those public? Those documents that their deals, are those public?
So his question was, who's advocating for our student athletes when they're negotiating this? Is it the school? Is it someone else? And are those deals public? So like, they can't have agents in this space. If you've got, let's say, a very high-profile person, they may have an agent. That could be the agent, you know, negotiating or representing them. Rules do prohibit the school, myself, or other entities of our school from being that agent or being that person in negotiation. However, what we can provide, because this was a huge concern, like I mentioned, these contracts, they can be long legal contracts. We can serve as a resource. So I myself have talked many of our student athletes through their contract. I'm not negotiating a higher price. I'm not telling them yes, no, but I'm making sure they understand what they've agreed to. Perfect example is exclusivity. I'll use back to our Cedric Tillman. He had something most likely. I would assume that Moonshine said, hey, you can't work with another cookie company while you're doing our deal, right? We see a lot of that. Or we see one chicken company that's saying, while you're representing us, you can't go represent another chicken deal. We want to make sure the student athlete understands that before they agree to it, because they may not understand exclusivity, those kind of words. So we cannot act as their attorneys, but we can educate them. But some of them do have their own attorneys, have their own agents, have their own person. Whether the deal is $50 or $50,000, my advice is always have someone you trust look at it who doesn't want something from you, right? Because we are starting to see there are bad actors in this space as well. As far as the public deals, they are not, because it really is a deal between two third parties. While yes, they by state law have to disclose that to us at the university, it falls under FERPA protected information. So it falls under basically information that we cannot give out. It's personal information. And we have, I'll be honest, we've been records requested for it a lot, but it does fall under FERPA. So kind of like their medical info or different things that we're not allowed to disclose.
So when Nico and a teammate are signing autographs, one guy's getting $1,000 and the other one's getting $1 million. They don't know that.
Not unless they talk. So, they do talk, so they're still there. Any others I can, yeah, of course.
Who is the highest compensated athlete in the country? I mean, surely someone's got an idea on.
So the question.
Bo, what's his name? Bo Nix out there in Oregon, or?
So the question is, who's the highest compensated college athlete in the country? Great question. A lot of people speculating that. Because the deals aren't public, I don't think we can have a perfect definition. We've seen some people create different algorithms or different things to try to determine what that may be. I would assume, based on what I know about college athletics, it's probably a quarterback somewhere. People are going to say that Arch Manning may be one, or Bronny, LeBron's son, when he comes in, may be one. There's actually a gymnast up at LSU who's a very highly compensated, just based on her presence on social media. But I think to know that true definition without us ever requiring public disclosures, we may never know for sure. But based on what I know about college athletics, I would assume a quarterback somewhere. So.
One more.
One more?
To that point,
Yeah.
I think, and you may know, 2 years ago, wasn't it Kentucky was a female soccer player?
Mm-hmm.
You think it would be a basketball player or a football player? Soccer player.
Yeah.
Because of her social following.
Yes, that's a huge thing we've seen, especially with our women student athletes. Some people say, hey, this is only going to be seen in football or basketball. It is not the case. We can confidently say we have NIL deals across all of our sports, tennis, rowing, swimming, whatever that may be. But it is social media following with a lot of our, especially our females, we're seeing them have these huge platforms on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and that's where a lot of their income is coming from, is from what really looks like a social media influencer space. There's 2 twins at the University of Miami that play women's basketball, and they're highly, highly well compensated, and some would argue they're okay basketball players, but they're not, Paige. So that's an interesting piece of this as well.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Yeah. We hand a book to Pond Gap each week. We have the speaker sign it. This one, I get in trouble if I don't say the name, Amari and the Knight Brothers. And if you'll just sign it.
Thank you.
I would appreciate it.
There's no NIL money.
We won't sell it.
It's coming from Jim.
And
Got to pay taxes on it.
and we've got a little token of our appreciation for speaking.
Thank you.
Janice, did you have an announcement?
I just please take your kazoo, the ones, because I can't take them back because you have hummed into them. So the kazoos are yours. Please take them home. If they're left on the table, I'll have to throw them away. Thank you.
Thanks, Janice. One announcement I wanted to make, there's a sign-up sheet for Valentine's Day, which is February 10th. We had the world-famous, I think I saw Sam leave, but Sam Carey and his band, the Spring Dusters, is going to be entertainment. We've got a good meal coming, but we do need some kind of count so I can tell buddies how many to expect. So that's February 10th, and there's a sign up at the front. It'll be here today, and it'll be here next Friday, and then I got to give them at least an estimate on the count. Do we have any other announcements? The
Kentucky football player get in on this NIL?
I don't know. I wish.
Not too late.
Yeah, he may or may not do the NIL for Tennessee. No, it's not too late. I think this is around for a while. Next week we've got Amy Harper, director of Patrick Industries, boating industry. So boat, it's we're about to get through winter. Hopefully, boats are coming. So anyway, Smokey, what do you need? Oh. We are videotaping the meetings. We've still got a couple of technicalities got to work through, but once we get those through, it'll be on the web that you'll be able to see, but that's still probably another 2 or 3 weeks. Got to get Tom Daugherty back from Florida, which is going to be hard to do, but he's supposed to come back in February. Smokey anywhere? Oh, there he is. Steve, can you do the 4-way test?
4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First.
Is it true?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it